Intellectual properties, or IPs, are a common feature of theme parks around the world, from theming roller coasters to popular TV shows and movies, to making a walkthrough attraction to tell the story of a book. Industry leaders such as Universal and Disney have set the standard for this type of attraction, while parks worldwide try to live up to them. Whether themed areas based on an established IP, or a specific attraction themed around an IP, the UK is home to many such attractions. But some IP-based attractions are more successful than others, and some are just downright weird. Where do we draw the line between a good and a bad IP? A good IP-based ride, in my opinion, is where the ride is specifically designed to fit the theme of the IP, and tells the story through the use of immersive theming. A bad IP-based attraction? Well, it can be the case of simply slapping some branding on a ride, which can often ruin the whole experience. There is a fine line between an intellectual property and a sponsorship, but in this video I'll be focusing on the rides and attractions specifically designed or rethemed to fit an IP. Without further ado, let's dive into IPs at UK theme parks. Whilst no intellectual property-based attraction is timeless, there are some that are so well designed that they attract visitors, whether they are a fan of the IP or not. Just look at Legoland. Well, okay, I guess everybody loves Lego. But this theme park makes you feel like you've just entered a new Lego-based world. From Lego-themed coasters and rides, to Lego models and workshops. This park has everything a Lego fan could possibly hope for. This could, of course, not be done without the Lego IP, and the Lego brand is strong enough to attract fans from across the country. Parks with areas themed to IPs, particularly when they're aimed at children, seem to do very well. CBeebies Land is essentially a whole separate park inside of Alton Towers, with various different rides themed to different CBeebies shows. This sort of IP will always do well, since families will see an area dedicated to small children, and spend the entire day without having to venture into other areas of the park. Previously, the area was known as Storybook Land, an area themed to a magical fairy tale land. While this theme could be considered timeless and will always resonate with small children, the CBeebies theme creates a more colourful and attractive area. Not to mention allowing the park to add more rides to the area, thanks to the partnership. Similarly, Peppa Pig World at Paultons Park is a successful themed area dedicated to small children. Peppa Pig has been a popular children's TV show for many years, and will continue to bring families to Paultons Park for many years to come. Of course, it won't be popular forever, but nothing ever is. Drayton Manor is also home to an IP-themed area aimed at children, Thomas Land. This area features various Thomas the Tank Engine themed rides and attractions, and even a Thomas themed railway. This park area did so well that it was even expanded in 2015, and contributed to Drayton Manor becoming one of the leading family-friendly parks in the UK. On the other hand, there is Nickelodeon Land at Blackpool Pleasure Beach. This area of the park has many rides and attractions themed to Nickelodeon TV shows, including Rugrats, SpongeBob, and Dora the Explorer. While the IP is popular, the theming is not the best. Some of the attractions, for example Nickelodeon Streak, feel lazy in their theming. Can a bit of orange paint and a green train really count as a retheme? I wouldn't say Nickelodeon Land is a failed example of IP usage, yet I think the area could have been much better designed and themed. The world of Jumanji at Chessington World of Adventures is, in my opinion, one of the best themed areas in the UK theme park. Although there are a few attractions in this area, each attraction stays true to the theme and complement each other. What's more, the area doesn't really feel out of place with the rest of the park, and blends in well with the overall wild adventure theme of Chessington. If we look at Mandrill Mayhem, the roller coaster itself is not particularly special. However, the theming of the roller coaster and the surrounding area makes it stand out from other roller coasters in the UK. Another IP themed area is the World of David Williams at Alton Towers. Honestly, I'll never really understand why Alton Towers would give this man his own area at the park. In an alternate universe, I believe that a World of David Williams would be a Little Britain themed area. But I will put my dislike for Mr. Williams aside for one moment and say that Gangster Granny the ride is a good dark ride and tells the story very well. Its re-rideability is debatable, but even I, someone who had never heard of Gangster Granny before the ride was built, enjoyed the experience. Now the Curse at Alton Manor, on the other hand, well, I'll save that opinion for another video. As well as Gangster Granny, there are other flat rides in the area, which do well to complement the overall theme of the area. I don't believe that this area will be a long-term fixture at the park, since it's not the most popular area, but it could be somewhat easily adapted to whatever children's book or something of the like is popular in the future. Another IP-themed area was Angry Birds Land at Thorpe Park, which was introduced in 2014. This area featured a 4D cinema which showed the Angry Birds 4D experience, a drop tower named Detonator Bombs Away, and a dodgem ride. The addition of the themed area was part of Thorpe Park's attempt to appeal to a family-based audience, with the park being mainly aimed at young adults. But with the nearby Chessington as a competitor, this area didn't do very well. Although Angry Birds Land wasn't exactly a failure, it didn't really fit in with the rest of the park's thrilling style. In 2023, the Angry Birds theme of the area was retired in favour of a more generically themed area named Big Easy Boulevard. Beano Land was an area of Chessington World of Adventures, themed to the Beano comic. The area was very well themed, and there were hardly any walls without the Beano-style drawings or models on them. It featured 4 attractions themed to the comic book, and was one of the most popular areas of the park throughout its lifetime. But naturally, after 9 years, it was decided it was time to retire the Beano theme and update the area to fit with Chessington's development plans. Besides the specific IP-themed areas at theme parks, there are also roller coasters that are themed to IPs. Saw the ride at Thorpe Park is a success story of this. Based on the movie franchise Saw, it became the world's first horror movie-themed roller coaster, and to this day is one of the most popular roller coasters at the park. Its success even led to the addition of a Saw-themed scare maze named Saw Alive, which ran from 2010 to 2012, and was later added to the park's annual Fright Nights lineup. Unfortunately, health and safety concerns meant that it had to be closed, but I believe that it would still be part of the lineup today if this didn't happen. Also at Thorpe Park, but perhaps not as successful as Saw, is The Walking Dead The Ride. The roller coaster was originally named X No Way Out, with a cyberpunk theme and an immersive story. It originally opened in 1996. Following an accident on the roller coaster in 2000, much of the cyberpunk theming was removed, and later, in 2013, it was renamed to simply X. In 2018, the roller coaster was rethemed to The Walking Dead, straying far from the attraction's original theme in favour of a post-apocalyptic horror theme. One of the attraction's standout features was the presence of live actors in an immersive pre-ride experience. However, sometimes the attraction doesn't actually have live actors present, which is disappointing, especially since the Thorpe Park website advertises this. The retheme didn't really add much to the overall experience, and instead simply slapped a new name and a little theming on the roller coaster to attempt to appeal to fans of the TV show. The original theme and story were much more creative, and perhaps the roller coaster would be more popular today if Thorpe Park stuck to the original theme and focused on improving some of the theming elements. Another example of a ride being themed to a specific IP is Sonic Spinball at Alton Towers. The roller coaster was originally named Spinball Whizzer when it opened in 2004, but in a partnership with Sega, the coaster was rethemed in 2010, with a repaint of the track, new decoys and signage. The ride even received new audio with samples from the Sonic video game. Overall, this retheme was well executed, and the Sonic theme really did fit with the design of the roller coaster, although it didn't really add much to the overall experience. Sadly, the contract between Alton Towers and Sega ended in 2016, and the Sonic theming was removed, with the roller coaster's name being returned to Spinball Whizzer. Ben 10 Ultimate Mission at Drayton Manor was a similar case to Sonic Spinball, where the theme didn't really add much to the experience. Apart from the queue line, which was well themed, there was minimal Ben 10 theming on this roller coaster, besides the green tracks and trains. The sponsorship by Cartoon Network ended in 2016, and after 5 years of operation with the Ben 10 theme, the roller coaster was renamed to Accelerator and given a racing car theme. IPs are often used as a theme for dog rides, but sometimes have a mixed reception. Charlie and the Chocolate Factory at Alton Towers replaced the much-loved Toyland Tours, using the same ride system with the addition of 2 glass elevator simulators as the ride's finale. The ride was very immersive, making riders feel like they'd just been transported into a chocolate factory, just like in the movie. It even had a smell of chocolate in the air. Sadly, this IP was not strong enough to compete with its nostalgic predecessor, and it was not very popular. It did operate for 10 seasons before being closed at the end of 2015, and was eventually replaced by the Alton Towers Dungeon. There is a success story in IP-themed dock rides, and that is the Gruffalo River Ride Adventure. This replaced Bubbleworks after it closed in 2016. The Dog Water Ride attraction tells the story of the Gruffalo through the use of digital projections, screens, animations, and ambient lighting. The Gruffalo is very popular, and although the ride is certainly not cutting edge, it has become one of the more popular rides at the park. But sorry mate, you will never be Professor Burp's Bubbleworks. Darren Brown's Ghost Train at Thorpe Park was another IP-themed dark ride attraction, designed in collaboration with Darren Brown himself. The ride featured virtual reality combined with live action, psychological manipulation, and practical effects. Now we know that virtual reality rides have been historically bad, with almost every example facing technical issues, particularly with the headsets. Darren Brown's Ghost Train was no exception to this. In some cases, headsets did not work at all, and there were also issues with the audio and other special effects. After just 1 year of operation, the ride underwent some major changes. An entire section of the story was replaced, additional effects were added, and some of the glitches with the VR headsets were fixed. Although this did improve the ride experience, the ride still received mixed reviews. In 2023, it was announced that the Darren Brown part of the ride would be removed, and the ride was renamed to Ghost Train, with the VR feature removed and replaced by scare actors. Although much of the negative reception of the ride was down to technical issues, I believe that the Darren Brown IP was not strong enough to make this a good ride. Of course, I have to mention Wallace & Gromit's Thrill-O-Matic at Blackpool Pleasure Beach here. This dog ride originally opened as the Gold Mine in 1971, which underwent a major refurbishment and Wallace & Gromit retheme in 2013, although the original ride system is still used. The ride cars are designed to look like one of Wallace's slippers, and the ride features scenes from various Wallace & Gromit movies. I may be slightly biased due to my love of Wallace and Gromit, but this ride is not only one of the best IP-based rides in the country, it is one of the best dark rides in the country, and that is down to the theming and storytelling of the ride. Of course, if you're not a fan of Wallace and Gromit, it might not be for you, but who doesn't love Wallace and Gromit? Walkthrough attractions are a popular way to introduce IPs to theme parks. They are much cheaper to install than a dark ride or even a flat ride, especially when there is already a building to house the attraction, which is the case in the majority of these attractions. They are, however, often short-lived due to low popularity after their initial season of operation. One of the most unusual walkthrough attractions was the I'm a Celebrity Get Me Out of Here maze that was opened at Thorpe Park in 2015. This maze allowed guests to take part in bush trucker trials like in the TV show, and interact with actors who were supposedly contestants from last year's show. The experience was actually rather well received, although it did face some technical issues. One of the main issues with this attraction was that due to the actor-led nature, it had a rather low throughput, which led to long queue times. Still, the maze did run for 3 seasons before being removed, which seems to be common with IP-themed walkthrough attractions. Room on the Broom is a walkthrough attraction at Chessington World of Adventures, based on the Julian Donaldson book of the same name, which was installed in 2019 following the success of the Gruffalo River Ride adventure. The attraction is set inside the Burntstub Mansion, which was formerly home to Hocus Pocus Hall. Room on the Broom still uses the Hall of Mirrors feature of the former attraction, and tells the story of Room on the Broom through the use of key scenes from the book, as well as the use of special effects and projections. Overall, Room on the Broom is a well-themed walkthrough attraction, and can be seen as an upgrade from the former Hocus Pocus Hall. However, we sadly lost some goblins and a very special chair in the process. Room on the Broom has already outlasted any other walkthrough attraction on this list. A short-lived walkthrough attraction was the Black Mirror Labyrinth at Thorpe Park. This maze-style attraction was based on the Black Mirror TV show and used mirrors and lighting as well as special effects to make the experience more disorienting. The attraction was heavily marketed by Thorpe Park and fell victim to being overhyped, leading to many being disappointed by what was essentially a glorified mirror maze. It didn't take long for many of the special effects to stop working, which spoiled the experience. Needless to say, the attraction was short-lived, and closed in 2023 after just 3 seasons. Although I'm not sure many would class this as a walkthrough attraction, Chessington was once home to an Action Man themed adventure playground called Action Man Critical Mission. There wasn't really any Action Man theming in this attraction besides an Action Man statue, so I'm not really sure you can count this as an IP-based attraction, or whether it's more of a sponsorship, but nevertheless it existed and did so for 8 years. Alton Towers once hosted a variety of shows in its Cloud Cuckoo Land theatre, including 2 very popular TV shows, those being The Tweenies and Barney the Dinosaur. This seems like the perfect opportunity to share some Oilblivion lore about the Barney show. I remember going to the Barney show as a kid, and I was a big fan of Barney. In the middle of the show, Barney fainted, causing me to burst into tears. Needless to say, this experience haunted me for the rest of my childhood, and I still think about it to this day. Anyway, I digress. Along with the theatre, there was a Barney-themed and later a Tweenies-themed play area for children. And the same theatre later housed another IP-based attraction, the Ice Age 4D Experience, which showed various scenes from the Ice Age movies in a very immersive way, with air conditioning and other 4D effects. After 3 seasons, the movie was replaced by the short film No Time for Nuts, but declining popularity meant that the attraction did not return for the following season. Last but certainly not least, well maybe least in terms of how long it lasted, I have to mention Nickelodeon Out of Control at Alton Towers. This was an interactive funhouse style attraction. Unknowingly, guests were filmed while they walked through the attraction, and the footage was played back to them at the end. The attraction did not receive great reviews and looked kind of boring, to be honest. It also had a low throughput. Naturally, the attraction only lasted for 2 seasons at the park. The use of IPs can make or break an attraction, whether it's rejuvenating a more dated attraction, or coming up with an idea for a new standout ride. In some cases, the theming of the ride feels like an afterthought, and while you can have a good attraction with minimalistic theming, you can also have a somewhat boring attraction transformed through the use of theming elements. In my opinion, the best attractions are those that are designed with a specific theme in mind, whether it be a specific IP or a story created by the park itself. After all, theme parks are supposed to be an escape from the mundane, everyday life, so immersive theming allows you to be transported into another world. Thank you so much for watching this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe to see more like this. And if you'd like to see a separate video about sponsorships at UK theme parks, let me know down in the comments.
My ghost train.